Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of my new show, The Rock Fantasy Files from rockfantasy.com in Middletown. I'm here with Kyle Thomas, vocalist and founding member of New Orleans metal. I don't know, he'll explain how he wants to say what kind of metal band he is, but Exhorder, who have been around for many years on and off, got back together recently. And Kyle, how you doing today? Fill us in about Exhorder. I was saying we don't even know who Exhorder is, so give us a lesson.
I'm well, Stephen. Thank you for having me as a guest on the Rock Fantasy Files. I really appreciate it. For starters, thank you for taking an interest in Exhorder as well. Recently, we just an article just came out maybe a week or two ago, written by Dom Lawson, and the headline was probably the greatest thrash band that you've probably never heard of, I think. Now, as far as labels go, we kind of leave that up to the listener. We've kind of come up in as much with as much a foot in the door of punk rock and hardcore as we did heavy metal. And here in New Orleans, the traditional New Orleans sound of funk and jazz is really prevalent here, even for the metalheads.
Yeah.
So that, a lot of people say, what's in the water down there in New Orleans? That, the scene's pretty, I guess, consistent with having a similar sound. And it's got a lot to do with that. We grew up listening to a lot of different styles. That it's a port city here, so things are always a hodgepodge mixture of all these sort of different things, from the food to the music to lifestyle. So that's kind of been our way. We were a band of misfits. We came into a metal scene that didn't really know what to do with us, maybe didn't even want us, because we were not very pretty to look at, and we were kind of playing outside of the box of traditional metal, with the advent of crossover starting to happen with metal bands taking that punk influence, and sometimes the punk bands taking the metal influence. To be fair, we probably had more of a foot in the metal door at the time.
Okay.
But it was the punk rockers that took us in, and they were the ones that said, you come play shows with us, and we'll welcome you.
So what year are we talking about when we're talking about these the beginning of Exhorder?
The final lineup of Exhorder was in place in the late spring of 1986. So the guys had started putting things together, I guess maybe late 1985, and
okay.
I was the final piece of the puzzle. I joined in, I want to say maybe April or May of 1986.
Okay.
And that summer we just started writing songs, and we released our first demo called Get Rude. And it was an 8-track demo recorded in a backyard studio, that just nasty, gritty, terrible production. But that's what demos were back then. And it was that nasty grit, I think, that people latched onto. It was just all about attitude back then.
Sure. And of course, the classic, a lot of people remember you for as the Slaughter the Vatican album.
Correct. Yeah, Slaughter in the Vatican was initially a demo. We started recording Slaughter in the Vatican in, I want to say, the summer of 1987. We started recording it. And some of the songs from Get Rude made its way onto Slaughter in the Vatican. And the newer batch of songs were Desecrator, Slaughter in the Vatican. Homicide was on Get Rude as well. Anyway, there was a handful of songs that we really hadn't. Death in Vain, that was one.
Okay.
These were all songs that were new at the time, and really we were progressing quickly, being known for not just the speed and the groove and the heaviness, but the technicality of it. We were angry young men, so we were taking a stab and jab at just about anything that was getting under our skin, and it spoke to people in some kind of way. It exploded on the underground, and by the time 1990 rolled around, we released the album with Road. It was Road Runner, Road Racer in the States. It was a subsidiary of theirs called RC, and that's what we released on.
Oh, okay. And bringing it up to 2020, I mean, of course, now you guys got back together recently. You were. I mean, I guess you can tell us that story because I'm not even that familiar. You were with Exhorder, and then of course Exhorder stopped for a while, came back, and what is it? Was it one stop and or two stops, and then you were back in 2017? Or?
I'm losing count. We broke up one time before we even released the song. We had a breakup in I want to say early 1988, and by late 1988 we were back together with the demo out and playing shows again. And we did that through 1992 when our second album, The Law, came out. And we were touring, working really hard, dealing with a lot of frustration. We felt like we were putting forth a lot of effort and maybe not seeing enough return on it. There was always controversy within the band and internal struggles. So that usually the band broke up from within multiple times, but that time in particular, we didn't. We kind of tried to hang on through 1993 with a new lineup, and it just wasn't happening. And I grew frustrated and started a new project called Penalty, which became Floodgate, and we did an album with Roadrunner in 1996 that came out. We called the album Penalty, and the band was Floodgate. And I want to say a couple of the other guys did a few things. Some of the guys didn't do much of anything. By the time we did anything again, it was 2001. So quite a gap between that breakup and we just did a few reunion shows. 2001, and nothing really of any significance happened again until 2009. We put it back together through about 2011, and just couldn't seem to keep it together again. So I stayed busy throughout. I played with Alabama Thunder Pussy. 2006 through 2007. Did one album with them called Open Fire. And then I joined Trouble in 2012. I'm still with Trouble. We did one album in 2013 called The Distortion Field. We're in the process of writing. And so, I stayed busy.
Trouble's a great band. Yeah. Awesome.
I joined one of my favorite bands. Who gets to say that?
Yeah. I remember them from way back in the day. I've had my record store since '85, so of course I've sold some of these, titles in the shop, so I'm familiar. And
absolutely.
So we bring it on to the late 2017. You guys got back together.
Yeah, we got back together in 2017. Put together a great lineup. Started going out and playing shows again, getting our feet wet with it, and the reaction was insane. I mean, the first two shows we did in Brooklyn at the St. Vitus bar, we did 2 nights. They sold out before we even got to New York. And that just said a lot for how in demand. I don't get it. But for some reason, the longer we stay away, the more in demand this band gets. So I'm not gonna test that theory anymore. We're just gonna keep going. But the good news is we were lucky. We were fortunate to be in that position because not everybody can say that that's what happens when you stay away. I don't know. The legend of this band grows and grows always. So we just, hit it hard and heavy with the festival circuit over the last few years.
Yeah.
We released another album called Mourn the Southern Skies last year.
Yeah. That's I was very familiar with that. I just actually watched video off of that before we were chatting today from my time.
Okay, yeah. We had a great time doing that video. The video had a nice, successful run. I think it's in the area of 250,000 views, which ain't too shabby, I guess, for old men.
Very good.
But more than anything, we're proud of the album. It's the album that we always wanted to record. We were never truly happy with the sonic output of the first two albums, and not to take away from any of the effort by the people that recorded it or helped engineer and produce it, but it just never did represent that true live Exhorder sound, and we finally felt like Mourn the Southern Skies did. So we knew going into making that album what we didn't want to do more than we knew we wanted to do, so we just started there, and we're very proud of the album.
That came out in 2019, correct?
Yes, and we've done quite a bit of touring, 2 U.S. tours and a lot of festival runs and a short European run last year. We are currently in talks about getting back to business in 2021, barring whatever COVID allows, of course.
Yeah, we're all
Yeah, we were fortunate this year. We went out with Overkill and did direct support for them late February through mid-March. And fortunately, 2 shows left was when everything shut down instead of 2 shows in. So we got to play the majority of the tour. Yeah,
the show that was in our area, I think in Morristown, New Jersey, was one of them that got cut at the very end with you were on the road with like another veteran metal band, Demolition Hammer was on that too, I believe.
Right? They were just going to play that last show.
Okay. They weren't on the whole tour. Okay.
No. It was Overkill, us, and a young band called Hydroform. Really good band, and they did the opening slot, and we banged around starting on the West Coast, came across the West and the South, and started working our way up the East Coast, and that's when everything just kind of shut down on us.
When the shit hit the fan, as they say, right?
I mean, it's crazy. We were all really sick on that tour. Both tour buses had a lot of people sick on it. I think maybe the Hydroform guys might had guys getting sick, and we don't know if we had coronavirus or not, but some of the people really believe that we may have, but I don't know. Whatever it was really an unpleasant illness. I caught it around San Antonio, and I had it pretty solid for about a week. I got on antibiotics and got well quickly, but who
knows? I mean, I would talk to a lot of bands now. I just started doing this about I think this is episode 18, but I spoke with Will from Death Angel. Of course, was in Europe and got the COVID real bad. I spoke with Robin Mason, who was on that tour, of course, as a merch and tour manager. And I spoke with another band, Enterprise Earth, was in Europe at the same time. And a lot of people came down with the COVID. And you just, some people got tested and found out they were, but who knows, Like, how it is on a tour bus, you're getting sick usually anyhow in that time of year, right? In the winter time.
Yeah. Close quarters, everybody's sharing the same air.
Yeah. And
some of the food is shared. It's tough. That tends to be the case when the illness goes around. One person gets sick, it just gets passed around. So it's really important. Personal hygiene, vitamins, and plenty of rest. That's the key.
Yeah, definitely. Life on the road, right? And where was the Mourn the Southern Skies recorded at?
We recorded that here in the greater New Orleans area. I live in Metairie, which is an unincorporated area within the greater New Orleans radius. So just kind of a mostly residential type of area. But there's a studio there called OCD, and we recorded there with Dwayne Simoneau. He's the owner and engineer there. We worked pretty hard on the album for, I don't know, 3.5 months, and just took our time getting the right sounds we wanted. We once we were happy with all the sound, sent it off to Jens Bogren, and Jens mixed the album for us, and then it went away for packaging and production. So.
And what's the current lineup in Exhorder today?
We are currently operating as a 4-piece. We've got myself, Marzi Montezeri on guitar, Jason Vibrooks on bass. Jason's been around with us the longest, I think. He started with us when we were trying to put together that lineup in 1993.
Yeah.
But he was part of the 2011 reunion, and we've got Sasha Horn on drums. So that's how we toured on this last tour with Overkill. We had great success. The fans were extremely happy with the shows. We just got nothing but love from them. It's fantastic. We're happy to be in the situation that we're in.
I got to see you on the tour last fall up in Poughkeepsie. I'm good friends with the guys in Frisian, and it was Cataclysm, you, Frisian, and I forget, I think there was another band on that tour package. Maybe, I'm not sure. Was it just 3 of you on that tour package?
It was, now let's see, that's a good question. There was 3 of us.
Frisian first, then you, Cataclysm.
Now there may have been some local, I know we had some shows where there was some local support.
Oh, there was definitely some local, probably in Poughkeepsie. I think it was on a Tuesday night, so I don't know how much local they had, but.
Was that the Chance Theater?
Yeah, the Chance in Poughkeepsie. That's like
I do recall.
Yeah,
there was some locals. I think there were more than one local that played that show.
Yeah, maybe a couple, yeah. And that was a pretty good show. I mean, it was a Tuesday night. It was a decent crowd for a Tuesday, I believe.
Yeah, sometimes the turnouts during the week aren't what you always hope for, but you have to be grateful that anybody out on a Tuesday or Wednesday night. I mean, I like the fact that the trend is starting to be that the shows are earlier again instead of,
especially a weeknight. You want to get it done by 11 or so, right?
Sure. And the more people under 18 that you get in there, the better. Metal could use a little fountain of youth treatment, to say the least. So I've in the last couple of years, the shows are getting younger and younger, and that's a good thing.
That's definitely, I see a lot of younger kids, especially. I go to New York City a lot for shows like the Gramercy or St. Vitus, and I'm the old man there. I'm 59 right now. I'm the old generation in the shows, So I don't know. I'm forced into retirement, but at least I got to see a bunch of shows over the years. I'm just like, let's hope this gets straightened out so we can get out and you can play some shows. I can get out, because I totally miss the atmosphere of going to a show, getting to see some bands, seeing what they're like live, and finding you find out about so many bands on the road too. You might go see a certain band really turned on by another band that's playing, and you want to buy their merch, and it's just a great experience that we're not having right now.
I completely concur with you on that. It's for me, I'm a person that when I'm home, I like to be home, and I'm usually very busy at home, but I'm content. If it wasn't for my wife dragging me out from time to time, I probably would never go anywhere other than the grocery store or the post office or bank or whatever. But to be honest, I'm getting to the point where I'm itching. I'm like, I'm ready to get back, getting ready to I'm ready to get in there, the studio, and make another album so we can
Sure,
get back.
sure. Yeah, I want to ask you if you were working on anything. Are you guys selling a lot? Do you have a way of selling some merchandise and whatnot? What happens if someone watching the show today wants to go buy an Exhorder T-shirt or an album or something and buy it directly from you guys? How do we find it?
www.exhorder.com. That's
Cool.
simple. Got a web store there, and that's where everything official in the United States is. We did sign a deal with Plastic Head Merchandise out of the UK this month, and they're in the process of putting our web store together. So it's partial right now, but you know, the European market can shop there as well.
Sure, sure. And what's things like in New Orleans? I was just talking with Sammy. I had Sammy from Gohor on last week on the program, and you know, chat with him. Oh, I've always been a big Gohor fan.
Right, I've known Sammy a very, very long time. In fact, before Acid Bath was Acid Bath, they were called Golgotha, and they used to open for Exhorder when we play shows in the Baton Rouge area.
Wow.
And so that's where I first met them. And they were very, very kind enough to, when I started the band Penalty, they returned the favor and gave me opening slots. So when before we changed the name to Floodgate, they really helped us quite a bit. And my hat is always off to them for that. And of course, Gohor is always an entertaining show with great guys in the band. I love them. They're old friends. So they I see them every once in a while, bump into them from time to time, but they're a busy band, so they're used.
So of course, you guys, you know, according to the media, you're the originators of the groove metal, and you're like not sure if that's true or not, but you got to be one of the originators of the metal scene in New Orleans a bit. I mean, you've probably been there to see a lot of the bands, and you've known a lot about that. New Orleans had such a strong music scene, like we talked earlier, and all the metal bands, you know, and rock bands coming out of New Orleans, especially, you know, like Pantera and Down. What, you got any good stories of parties or hanging out with a bag or anything like that you want to add? Just
ones that are safe for the air or safe for
guess, I mean, when I make this YouTube video, it says it's not for kids, so maybe we're okay.
Yeah. We went, you know, going back to '86. Like I said, you know, we were playing songs that we wanted to hear. We didn't really set out to. It's not like we sat down and said, "All right, we're gonna originate a genre here." When I was 16 years old. I didn't know much more than, well, I'm enjoying listening to Slayer and DRI and, you know, Dead Kennedys and you know, Destruction or whatever. You know, let's just write what we want to hear, and that's pretty much what we did. We worked really, really hard, putting a set together, and then we started playing it. It just connected with people immediately. And I remember people, sometimes they would say, "I've never heard anything like it," or they'd say, "Y'all sound like Slayer." And I don't know that we necessarily sounded identical to Slayer as much as.
Yeah, I don't really hear that too much. No.
I think what it was.
I mean, a little bit. But
we might have been the first band in New Orleans that really kind of sounded like those kind of bands, because we were the first ones really doing the. I'm not going to say we were the first ones doing crossover, because we weren't. There was Graveyard Rodeo and Shell Shock before us. They were more punk bands that took metal influence, where we were the metal punk influence. But we really were doing that refined, thrashy edge that I don't think anybody else had done. So when we did it, people were like, "This is new," you know. So if they hadn't heard anything like Megadeth or Slayer at the time, or even bands like Dark Angel, Destruction, then it just sounded brand new. So I don't know that. I know that we do kind of sound unlike any other band that sounded that was out at the time. So we probably get a lot of credit for that. But whether or not started a genre. I don't know. I don't even think.
And then you'll get the whole thing. Oh, they sounded like Pantera. So you guys were you were before Pantera. So, stuff like that, which, you've been lumped into that at times. But
they were actually in existence before us, but they were playing Night and Metal Magic. And that was more like, I think it was more like a Judas Priest kind of traditional metal. And they were great. Phil joined them. He's from here as well. We've all known each other since we were kids.
Sure. Have you? Okay, that's interesting. Very cool.
He sang in a band here called Razor White that was mostly covers, but they had a handful of originals. And they were, they'd play like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, stuff like that. They were really good.
Yeah.
And I want to say around 1987, he left them to go join Pantera, and then they did the pop metal record Love. But you keep in mind that happened in 1987, and we were already beginning to record the Slaughter in the Vatican demo at the time, our second demo. So we've been with them for quite some time. And Phil will tell you he was a diehard fan of this band, and we are grateful to him in a great way, because when he went to play in Dallas Fort Worth area with Pantera, he took his Exhorder demos with him, and he just played it for everybody. And as a result, the first time we played in Dallas Fort Worth, there was a ton of people there that knew about us because of Phil.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So he's been a great champion of this band for a long, long time. And
that's great. That's great.
I still talk to him. We don't talk on the phone much, but we email each other quite a bit from time to time. Talk a lot of Saints football, but sometimes we just check in going, what's up? How you doing? How's life? And if I see him, it's like we haven't missed a beat. And
nice. Yeah, I thought that'd be interesting as to add a little of the stories of the New Orleans metal since you've been around from day one.
Kirk Winstein's a great friend of mine. We've toured together. We've jammed together, slept at each other's houses way, years and years back, through now. Sometimes we'll be out with our wives together, and it's too late for anybody to drive home, so just crash on the couch.
Cool. Yeah, I just got his album dropped earlier this year. I think his solo album came out around January.
I'm very proud of him. Everybody should do that from time to time, just to do something different. And Kirk, a lot of people may not know just what a wide range of style Kirk has, and he's been a huge influence on a lot of people in this town. He was singing and playing guitar in a band called Victorian Blitz when I was 14, 15 years old, and the first time I ever saw anybody play any Iron Maiden pre Bruce Dickinson, the Paul Di'Anno years, Kirk used to play that in that band, and I was always like, wow, they play Phantom of the Opera, like that's so cool.
So you're a football fan down there? Or what?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know what this year is going to give us. They're talking about maybe playing the season without any fans. I don't know. The league.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. With all the uncertainty, it's not just in our music business, but it's in the sporting industry. It's in the theater. It's like, I got a friend that bought a theater in Manhattan to do like Broadway, and of course that's all shut down. It's a nightmare for anybody in the arts or sports. But I was reading something about Jacksonville Jaguars was saying they were going to have 25% in the stands, but of course every state and every county and everything's got a different rule. And we don't know what it's going to be like in September here as we talk in July.
Changes on a dime right now, everything. They're talking about, got to wear masks, and then they're saying masks are, maybe even bad for you. And then they're saying, well, you got to wear the masks anyway. And
yeah, we don't know. It's yeah. Of course, in my record shop, you got to wear a mask. I'm a caregiver to my wife. She's got some health issues, so I wear an N95 whenever I go out. I got friends on the COVID front line at the local hospital there, and I said, well, wear that. don't get real close to people, wash your hands, you should be all right.
Sure.
Because certain masks do work, and other ones just kind of keep your spray from going at somebody else's, I guess, you know?
Exactly. My wife is a scientist, and she
Okay.
works in the labs. She's worked in a COVID hospital doing testing. She works in a private lab right now doing testing, and she gets a lot of the frontline news from the medical world, you know, and it changes. Oh, like that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. To me, the way I see it is, whatever makes somebody feel safe, you do what you got to do to feel safe.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
be mindful and courteous of other people feeling the same way. They might feel differently on how you feel about things. So you know, I try not to push my thoughts on it with people. I think it's kind of a situational thing for people. But if the law is that you got to wear the mask, then wear the mask. Do what you got to do, and just let's get over this. Let's get back to playing.
Yeah, if the mask is going to help and get us back to going to shows and watching some sports in the stadium, let's wear it for a couple months, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
or stay inside. It seems like we've been inside forever. My record store is open now. I'm not there a lot just because I'm trying to protect my wife and blah, blah, blah. But I go up there here and there, and I feel like I'm semi-retired. I don't know.
I can appreciate that, your situation there with your wife, because shortly before this whole thing exploded, my mother had a procedure, and it was very important. My mother's in her 80s, so it's very important that she, you know, take really good care of herself and stay healthy. And then this thing blew up. I'm like, oh, like, you know, because the people that are the most at risk are the ones who have either underlying health issues or just compromised in some kind of way. So fortunately, she's made it through all of that just fine. But, you know, God, if I wasn't worried about my poor mother, you know?
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm not going to let you know what football team I like because you'll probably hang up on me.
No. You know, I'm NFL.
I'm a Tampa Bay Bucks fan.
Hey, all right. You know, that's okay.
That's it. You're ending the conversation.
No, man, my dearly departed friend Ralph Santala was a huge Tampa Bay Bucks, and so we would, like, if I went to go stay with him, he would drive past the Bucks stadium there. Was it Raymond James Stadium?
Raymond James, yeah, sure.
And so I'd do the same thing. If I picked him up from the airport, I'd go a little bit out of my way and drive past the Saints practice facility. I'm a football fan before I'm a Saints fan or LSU Tiger.
I enjoy watching it like you do. I play Madden every morning when I get up. I got the Madden on PS4, and that's how I wake up almost every morning. I get on there and I'll play online against somebody. And I'm the Bucks, and I don't know how I'm going to get used to Tom Brady being my quarterback because I'm not a big Brady fan. But
well, we've got Jameis Winston as our backup, so we're all.
You got Jameis now, yeah. I can scramble with him on the game. He likes to throw interceptions occasionally, but
he's extremely talented. I think if somebody could figure out a way to rein in his ability, he's clearly a talent.
He can be right on in a game and driving you on the field and all.
Absolutely. So I think if he comes together, he's saying all the right things. Some of the fans haven't been so welcoming to him here because you know, that I guess some of his past comes back and haunts him a little bit. But
of course, yeah.
He's not a kid anymore. I'm willing to give him a chance.
So, of course, you got Breeze as a starter, so you really don't want to see Winston on the field unless something happens, right?
Plus, you've got, you know, you're playing, you know, you've got home field advantage locked up, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or there's a gadget play, something, you know, something.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, I guess it was fun talking to you today. And if there's anything else you'd like to add, anything you want to put on the air before we wrap up this episode?
Well, I just want to say, aside from thanking you for having us on the Rock Fantasy Files today, I'm really grateful for all of the longtime support and believers in this band. uh, especially the ones that are still right by our side. We really enjoyed playing that last tour. The support was incredible, and we're going to do it as long as everybody wants it. And we're having a great time doing it. I'm trying to get creative with new merchandise to keep everybody interested and not have to look at the same old stuff. We've got new incredible music we are working on right now. We're very excited about the direction that we're going in. So all I can say is everybody just be patient. It's coming, and we'll be back.
So there hasn't any in New Orleans. Have they started any drive-in concerts yet?
They just did start that concept. I saw some video footage of a friend attending one. We actually did have some concerts, mostly local cover bands.
Yeah.
Just shut down the bars here this past weekend.
Okay.
And there was a spike in cases.
Yeah.
The other gatherings and people going to restaurants has nothing to do with the spread of COVID. It's all the bars and the concerts fault, of course.
Oh, of course. So they figure out which one it is, but who knows? Like, it's all a learning process. But of course, our style of music and your style of music might not go well with a drive-in because these guys want to get out and do a mosh or bang around.
Just do like a demolition derby instead.
I just interviewed Randy Gregg, who's in a band. He used to be in Thin Lizzy and Angel and a few other bands. He's in Almost Queen now, and they're actually playing up here Friday up at Wilkes-Barre outside the arena, and they're doing a drive-in concert. But, you know, a classic rock band or something like that, probably, you know, it's much easier to do it than Lamb of God or an Exhorder or a Gohor or something like that, you know?
Yeah, the magic that's built on our shows is the intensity that you create with like a symbiotic relationship with the audience. So, you know, I'd rather play a show to 1,200 people that are right on top of me than a big show where everybody's spaced apart and, you know, there's just no intimacy. It's so much better. And if it just doesn't make sense right now, then we just don't do it.
Yeah, you just wait it out. You know what I've seen on my social media feed the last week or two up here? I've been seeing a lot of backyard concerts happening with some of the, you know, cover bands and whatnot, just getting out in someone's backyard where they don't have any neighbors and playing some Sabbath covers or whatever else. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, you know. But you're going to see some of that real underground stuff going on again, maybe, you know.
Yeah, no doubt. Everybody's just hungry for it. I think everybody's bored. Everybody wants to get out of the house.
Yeah, we'll go watch a guy play fiddle in the corner. That's to get out and see some live music. Well, anyhow, thanks for being on today, Kyle, and I wish you all the luck with your band and merchandise, and hopefully some people come up and keep you guys going by buying some merch during the downtime. And thanks for everybody for watching Rock Fantasy Files. Please subscribe to the channel if you watch the show, because it helps me get more viewers, and it helps me get more interviews. And also check out my store at rockfantasy.com. We sell online. And of course, we have our brick and mortar here in Middletown, New York. 34 years, be 35 years in November. We're supposed to have a big party, but probably can't allow to have a concert. We'll have to have an internet one, I guess. Something, I don't know.
Well, I certainly our fan base to subscribe to your show, and we're going to ask people to share the hell out of it. So
thank you.
That's my pleasure. No doubt. Thank you.
Thanks to Robin Mason for hooking us up today. She got us together.
I love Robin dearly. She's a good friend.
The Amazing Mason, she calls herself, right?
That's her.
I bought a lot of T-shirts from her at the merch booth. All right. Thank you very much, Kyle, and I'll be in touch.
Sure, Stephen.